What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at some Mattel Masters of the Universe, Mattel Creation exclusive figures. So first off, from the Masterverse for the new Eternia line, we have Mossman, which looks cool here. Of course, he was shown off for the first time, I think, back at San Diego Comic-Con. So we have him here now, of course, in figure form. So we get the nicer box design they do for the Masterverse there. So we get Mossman there with all sorts of limbs and vines and everything going around with some bugs and stuff and creatures and all that sort of around there. So it looks good overall for the packaging. Of course, him there on the back as well. And we can start to open up. So here on the inside, sort of flap thing with a bit of story of Mossman that I'll sort of read to you, and then of course part of the new Eternia design there, nice Mossman picture, and then you should have the figure hiding behind that. And what's always cool with these is that we then also get this, we can sit out behind him if we want to put it on display. So it looks like we got Eternia there in the background and stuff. I think we've seen that picture before, so just a cool thing with our figure there inside the box. And then from the Origins lines, we have Sharella, so part of the Powers of Grayskull line that they started doing more recently. We have the heroic tribal chiefess of Sharella, so it looks pretty cool there. So just kind of like a basic girl figure, but just more like the, I would say, barbarian, or like fur type clothing and stuff, but looks pretty cool there. If we sort of spin around, we can see her there on the back fighting with some characters. So the snake guy that was in the snake layer recently, and then it almost looks like a weird version of Skeletor, but just looks cool. And of course has like this new slide out package that I hate because every time I pick this box up it slides out, but we get that sort of design with her as well. But awesome to get her added to our collection. So both of these are cool and I'm excited to check them out. So let me get them open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. Well, let's start off with Mossman, again part of the new Eternia line. He was a man made of moss that can camouflage into foliage and control all plant life on Eternia. But for this storyline, after the shattering of New Eternia, his mind was splintered across the planet and drove him insane. He was no longer the keeper of the natural order, and those who walk into the forest of New Eternia often don't return. So with that, it kind of almost sounds like he's now like evil or something, but looks good overall with his design here. Looks very awesome. The face looks kind of funny and cool. At the same time, it's got a lot of that like Bigfoot look to it. It reminds me a lot of when Andre the Giant was Bigfoot in like $6 Million Man or whatever the show was back in the day. That's just what it reminds me of, just green this time, but looks good. Love how he has like all the fur or whatever here on his chest, although it's all leaves and stuff, so a nice like almost like covering piece here that's all in leaves and everything, with all these nice spikes sticking out of the back. So big spikes, smaller spikes, they're sticking out of the back and out of his biceps there. Nice like root straps or whatever sort of vines going around there as well. Of course he's all green, so his fur very much like Beastman stuff, just all green this time. Then we get belt around his waist, has some nice leaf designs on it, so that's pretty nice with some gold. And then of course like a leaf loincloth hanging down here, that's pretty cool. Some bracers on his arm, at least one's look like a thick vine there, and then one actual metal there with the gold design. And once again, of course, furry legs going down until we get to like roots and vines and stuff there around at his shin. So we get that sort of design, nice spike hanging out, and his toes on his feet there. So it looks pretty good overall design. Very mean and menacing looking figure design for this Mossman here. But movement-wise, his head will twist around. Of course, it's hard to get it twist all the way around because of his beard and the hair, but just a little side to side, look down that far, and then up that far. So just very little movements in the head at all, unfortunately. Shoulders will come up towards 90 and rotate around within there. We get a bicep twist. It feels wristed. There it is. So twist around there. The double elbow joint, it's going to be real stiff, but can bend up just about that far there. Then we'll, of course, get wrist. That'll twist all the way around and hinge back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch. So under the chest piece here, we'll crunch back and forth, and should be able to twist around there as well. Twist all the way around at the waist. The hips will come up to 90 and out to the side to do the splits. Get a thigh twist and the double knee joint that'll bend up that far to the back. Not too bad. We also get a shin twist there at the middle of the leg or the shin, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So decent movements, obviously not the best, but of course he's like loose in some spots, real stiff in others. So just a weird combination overall with all the joints, but it still works out pretty decently. Now he comes with a number of accessories, so we get additional hand or piece we can put on him, which has like this root hand or vines reaching out. So we have this we can put in his hand, of course, then like take it and wrapped around the character and stuff, like he's grabbing onto him with that. We get this big mace as well we can put in his hand, a nice cool design that matches with his belt and the one gauntlet and stuff. So we can put this in his hand so he can hold on to that mace there, which is cool. And then we also get an additional belt piece that has a dagger on it, which we can actually pull the dagger out, so we can give him a dagger. Now I'm not really sure, obviously it's a belt, so it goes around his waist, but just with the design it feels like the dagger would be right in front of him, but I assume we just pop this around his waist. So yeah, there's the dagger around his waist, but there it's the way it connects. Obviously, you can get it twist around stuff. So it's just right in front of him now, which I don't really like too much. That's if you just keep in the back. I don't know if you could like twist it around to the side and stuff, but just the way it seems to go on, that's the way it is there. So overall, not too bad. Like obviously the look and everything is the coolest part about the weapons and stuff are just fine. You know, Maskman doesn't really ever come with anything really cool, but since he does actually come with some weapons on this one, that's pretty cool. And we've had Mossman before in the Masterverse. I believe it was from the TV show, the Netflix series though. So this is the Mossman from that. So you can see the crazy difference in size now. So this is like probably normal like height or whatever of the character. So this Mossman is going to be a much bigger figure and stuff, and tower over our different characters. So really cool design. Like I said, overall the design, everything for Mossman looks pretty cool. Like I said though, it's just Mossman, so it's hard to really like make him like super cool or anything like what I said with the weapons stuff. At least they tried with giving him a mace and stuff and the dagger this time and everything. So just a cool looking Mossman though. And then from the MOTU Origins lines, we also have Sharella, which is part of the Powers of Grayskull subseries, which she was a heroic tribal chiefess. Now, originally she was depicted on Megator's packaging from the 1980s, but was never made into a figure. But she is a character from the pre-Eternia era that would become the goddess in that timeline. So, of course, she's going to have a lot of inspiration from like Tila and everything going on there. But looks good. She just kind of looks like a basic, like barbarian-like design. I feel she'd go pretty good with like He-Man, especially more like a more basic design and stuff. But looks good with the face design. Of course, she just looks like a lady with the longer reddish brown hair there, sort of hanging down. She has the fur like outfit design, so she has a fur top piece on here, so nice fur design with like almost, I was gonna say a hood, but I guess just a collar going around there with a nice gold piece right there in the center. Then that's the fur underwear as well, so the standard MOTU sort of character designs with a fur underwear and a gold belt around the waist, gold bands there up on her biceps as well, and the fur boots there on her feet, so the leather boots with the fur at the top of them. And then she has a belt around her waist, so black belt, got a pocket on one side and a quiver for arrows there on the other side. So it looks pretty decent overall, you know, just a nice addition, like a main character, you know, super well-known character design. Like I said, just a character that, especially from the 80s, just appeared on a box, but never got a figure until I believe like the MOTU Classics or whatever. But nice just to have Sharella represented a MOTU Origins figure finally. But for movements, her head will twist around, of course, can twist side to side there with her hair. Should be able to go all the way around there and look down that far and then up just about that far because her hair, I wish the head would look up a little bit more, but like I said, her hair's in the way, unfortunately. Shoulders will come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. Get that single elbow joint that bends towards 90 with rotation. The wrist will twist all the way around and flex back and forth, kind of deep in there. The elbow will flex back and forth. Get the twist all the way around at the waist. The hips will come up that far and out to the side. Single knee joint back with rotation, shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So decent movements overall, nothing really wrong with that, standard for the Origins line. Now, accessory wise, as you see, she comes with a quiver there. We get an arrow that can go inside of us, a nice gold arrow that we can just slide in there. There's a nice slot, so we can store that down inside there. And of course, to go along with that, she comes with a bow as well, so we can put the bow in her hand. And it's pretty typical with toy lines. It's hard to really get characters to hold bows properly. That's like the best I could get her to do there to look like she's firing there. And I put the bows in like her right hand stuff since she has the quiver on the left side. If that would be easier for with her, you know, to draw the arrows from there. So hopefully that's proper there. So there we got Sharella with her bow and arrow. And of course, just as it showed like online and stuff, that's from the timeline and everything. She's at the time of Hero, so she can go along with Hero here. So they can be a good group of there together of Hero and Sharella from the pre-Eternia timeline. So very nice for that overall. Like I said, she's pretty basic play, not really much to her. Like, you know, hard to, besides, you know, body wise, be able to identify her really as a MOTU character because she doesn't have really any like unique designs like they do. But overall, nice to just add her to the collection. So that's going to be it for our two Masters of the Universe Mattel Creation exclusive figures, where we got Mossman from the Masterverse line and Sharella from the Origins line. Both are pretty decent. Like this Mossman a lot. Like I said, definitely out of Mossman, my favorite look for him so far. Just like I said, for me, it's hard to really make him too exciting of a character with awesome accessories stuff. But like I said, this is by far my favorite looking version of Mossman. And then Sharella is pretty cool as well. Like I said, not a very well-known character. Doesn't have really unique look to her or anything, but just a nice character to add to our MOTU collection. So let me know what you thought of these two down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know what that like and hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.